Okay. Statements. I mentioned just a little bit ago that these are also known as in an if-then form. So there's going to be two parts to every statement. The if, the beginning of it, and then the end. The then is the end of it. And the if actually has a special name. It's called the hypothesis. And the then is called the conclusion. Okay, now we can talk later about whether or not this is actually a true statement or not. That's one thing you're going to be investigating here in your journals in just a minute. This statement right here is a conditional statement, though. Okay, whether it's true or false, whatever. It's a conditional statement. Now, so the hypothesis. Consider this situation, whatever it is, okay? Hypothesis. If you study for 2 hours, okay, we're laying that down first. Conclusion, then you will pass, okay? It's called a conclusion because, okay, I'm saying with this thing set up first, the other thing that has to happen then. The conclusion, okay? Now, sometimes there are conditional statements that the logic makes then always has to happen. That makes it a true statement. But if the conclusion is like, well, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, then the statement has to be false. For a statement to be true, it has to be true all the time. Okay? No holes that you can punch into it. Okay? So, we just discussed that. So, is this a true statement? Need to pass? No. Studying the like you're having a migraine during the test or something or whatever, and then you don't end up passing or whatever. So, yeah, so this would be what you get is you're going to look at some to begin with. One thing that you're going to okay, and then we're going to discuss we can determine if statements are true or false based on the results of that. Okay, so we're going to with just a relational statement. Now, at this point, I'm not really concerned if it's true or false. Use this as a means to explain what these other things are: converse, inverse, contrapositive. All. Then they learn. Okay, so the statement that I'm beginning with, the converse of that statement The if and the then are just switching. So the hypothesis becomes the conclusion, and the conclusion becomes the hypothesis. Could make this true when it was false, or vice versa. And you the person has red hair. Well, think about what's the opposite of that. Raise your hand. Yes. That is not the opposite. What is the exact opposite of that statement? Yeah. Exactly. If a person does not have red hair. What you guys were giving me was specific examples of. That's not the negation. The negation is the exact opposite. So really you're just throwing the word not in there. Okay. Negation of it. Same time. So it's negation and the and conclusion. After you've done that, and switching them. I swapped the hypothesis conclusion. The nice statement came first. Not nice, it's the negation of that. And but it was the negation of that, though, not red. As we can go through each one of these. Out, just raise your hand and I'll. Nice. Is that a true or false statement? Raise your hand and I will call on you. Go ahead, Dominic. True. Okay, so then you have to have red hair. Is that true, Ryan? I don't know if you knew that. If you have red hair, technically, it's a mutation. It is. So if you're not one of the red-headed mutants, nice. Is that true or false? Not have red hair? Yeah.
False.
That is false. Kind of a conditional statement, you have a hypothesis and you have a conclusion, right? There's the if and there's the then. The P is the hypothesis. The Q is the then. Okay? So think about this. P implies Q. P leads to Q. If we know P, right, that's a conditional statement. P implies. Did in this little terminology. Okay. P implies Q as my original. It's not P implies. What's it become now? Let's have somebody else. Yeah. So if a conditional is P implies Q, it's just Q implies P. We swapped it. It's just the opposite. What do you do to make an inverse? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's not P implies not Q. Right? Sure. Okay. Here. Nice. Okay. So both of those are negation, negation, right? That up Q. We threw knots into both of those hypothesis conclusions. If you think you got it, I'll call on. Yeah. Use the word equals. What do we use? Implies. So there could be. Mm-hmm. A conditional statement. One thing that I would expect you to be able to do with it then is to take that conditional statement, turn it into a converse inverse. We just did with the last one. Can you go through and think about each one as, is it true or false? Okay? So that's what I'm going to expect out of you. Statement. Get these truths and what are work. It's a conditional true. So implies P, both are true. Well, instead of just an arrow pointing to the right. Okay, so P implies Q and Q implies P. Both are true. So, phrase, or think of a conditional statement where this is the case, where no matter what, it can be kind of hard, right? If you go to math, like an example of something that works. Simple, I don't know. But think about it both ways. True? Right? If I wrote the converse of that statement, 2, then it's even. That's true, right? This is certainly true. The number is even, then it's divisible by 2. So this conditional statement, the biconditional statement. It's like I wrote both converse. Instead of having to write both of those two things out, divisible by 2. I locked it in. It's got both of those two things happening at the same time. Okay? So I just wanted to just real quickly expose you to that. I condition being 2, right? So 2 directions to it. Did you guys get going on? conditional itself true or false? What we're going to take a look at. So, something that's true. Yeah.
If an angle is acute and it's less than 90 degrees.
Oh. Can that happen? No. So is the overall statement true or false then? False. True. So, angle is not acute less than 90 degrees. Can that happen? Okay. So, if the angle is not acute, can it be less than 90 degrees?
No.
Technically, yes, it could. Yeah. If it's 0 degrees. That can still be a true statement. It's just called a zero angle. You'll get a true. It's not acute, so it's not. That's true. There's truth table here then. Okay. So for a hypothesis and a conclusion, in the conclusion we can figure out, is the overall statement going to be true or false that way? Okay. Inverse that we've talked about. I don't want to spend time digging into each one. Yes. Inverse some questions in your homework where you're going to have to build a truth table. We have a little bit of time here. Looks like we got about 20